Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed conveys His Majesty's wishes to the American nation as the U.S. President stresses on the strong relations binding both countries. U.S. President Barack Obama pledges his country's commitment to help protect the security of Gulf states at the end of the Camp David summit. And 3 Omani students win the special award from NASA in Intel International Competition for Science and Engineering in USA. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Excellency Barack Obama, U.S. President, hailed the pivotal role played by His Majesty Sultan Qaboos in terms of the positive results that had been reached regarding Iran's nuclear program, valuing His Majesty's permanent efforts in promoting the progress of the negotiations in its different stages. That came when His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for the Council of Ministers, met him on behalf of His Majesty the Sultan in Camp David on the sidelines of the summit meeting. Obama also praised the Sultan's wise policy and studied approach in dealing with the different issues and challenges facing the region under His Majesty's leadership. He further stressed on the strong historical relations binding U.S. and the Sultanate and the importance of boosting them in various fields in order to serve the interests of the two countries and the friendly nations. On his part, His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed conveyed to Barack Obama His Majesty's wishes to the U.S. President and the American nation of more progress and prosperity. He also expressed his thanks and appreciation to the U.S. President on the hospitality and the generous welcoming that received along with his delegation, and valuing his commitments and appreciation that showed to His Majesty's wise leadership, stressing that His Majesty has always been keen to prevail security and stability in the region. He then expressed the Sultan's appreciation to the friendly relations and the cooperation binding the two countries, and on the importance of the American role in achieving stability and peace in the region and the world. At the end of the meeting, the U.S. President Barack Obama asked His Highness to convey his greetings and the appreciation of the American administration to His Majesty the Sultan and his best wishes to the Omani nation of more progress and development. His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for the Council of Ministers, and his delegation left Washington today after taking part in the meeting of Camp David summit. The summit concluded its work by emphasizing on more coordination to combat terrorism and to eradicate sources of funding armed groups, as well as to set up an American Gulf strategy to end the armed conflicts in Yemen and Syria. The summit, considered the most important among the Gulf states and the U.S. since many centuries, started with a welcoming speech delivered by the U.S. President Barack Obama, in which he welcomed their Highnesses, the leaders of the GCC delegations, indicating that relations between the U.S. and the 6 countries is a partnership relation and of strategic interest that should be sustained. Through 3 sessions held during the summit, in which accurate and complicated topics were brought up, especially regarding the joint regional priorities represented in confronting terrorism and the armed groups, as well as clashes that erupt in a number of Arab countries and the impact of that on the security and stability of the GCC countries and the Arab countries. In a session allocated to discuss a framework agreement between Washington and Tehran, due to be signed in coming June, Obama explained the nature of this agreement and its sought advantages to the Gulf states, emphasizing his country's commitment to defend the GCC region in case of becoming subject to any external threat. The Gulf side stressed on the necessity of setting up a framework for a wider military and security cooperation with the U.S., such as arming, qualification and training and coordination and joint defense. This file has been forwarded to experts from the two sides to be studied in order to create a final vision and a joint defensive strategy to protect the interests of both parties. U.S. President Barack Obama said the U.S. is investigating reports of a chlorine used in bombs in Syria. He added that chlorine itself historically has not been listed as a chemical weapon, but when it is used in this fashion, can be considered a prohibited use of that particular chemical. Speaking at the Camp David presidential retreat, Obama also said he continues to believe a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians is absolutely vital for achieving Middle East peace, and that the two-state option was also the best for the long-term security of Israel. In a speech aired on Palestine TV, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that he was willing to revive peace talks, but the onus was on Netanyahu to change course and end Israel's West Bank occupation by 2017. He added that the resuming of negotiations required three fundamental issues: supporting settlement activities, releasing prisoners, especially the fourth phase of prisoners of those who has been arrested before Oslo, and negotiations that last for 1 year and lead to a timetable for ending the occupation by 2017 for most. Iraqi government forces continued to battle Daesh militants in Ramadi, the capital of Western Anbar province. Fighting was intense around the Ramadi government compound, which houses most of the city's government offices, according to Anbar councilmen. According to police sources, the insurgents attacked Ramadi overnight using 6 suicide car bombs to reach the city center, where Anbar governorate compound is located. On the western side of the city, 3 car bombs blew up near Anbar Operations Command. Burundian civil society groups called for renewed street protests today against a third-term bid by President after a coup bid against him failed. The civil society leader said they stopped the protests against the third term because he was shooting his heavy weapons on the streets of Bujumbura, and now they call on Burundians to again mobilize and resume the demonstrations. North Korea carried out a live fire drill near the disputed sea border with South Korea, snubbing calls from Seoul not to escalate cross-border tensions. The drill began near a South Korean frontline island close to the maritime border in Yellow Sea, the South's defense ministry said. The North's military has said it would stage the firing drills between Wednesday and midnight Friday in its territorial waters. The U.S. and Cuba say they will hold a new round of talks next Thursday in an attempt to remove barriers to the reopening of embassies in Washington and Havana. The talks will be held in Washington, the State Department and Cuba's Foreign Ministry announced separately. The two sides have been negotiating for nearly 5 months over the condition for re-establishing diplomatic relations under a deal announced by Presidents Raul Castro and Barack Obama on December 17th. The talks have been hung up on disagreements over U.S. diplomats' ability to import uninspected embassy supplies and to travel in Cuba without restrictions and meet citizens, including dissidents. Still to come in our news bulletin. Crocodile farming in Zimbabwe is boosting its struggling economy. back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. 3 Omani students won the special award from NASA Space Agency in Intel International Competition in the field of science and engineering in USA. The students Shama Al-Tobi, Lujain Al-Rqaishi and Suwad Al-Amri from Al-Khair School for Basic Education in the Wilaya of Iski participated in this competition by 3 projects and eventually won the award. This competition, in which 75 countries took part this year, is considered an opportunity to encourage students to enhance their skills and interact with high standard levels of innovation and creativity spirits due to the competitive environment they witnessed that gather many talented people around the world. Renewing most important challenges and experiences of entrepreneurship in addition to opportunity of labor market and its challenges were within the events of a first graduates forum in Sohar College of Applied Sciences. The forum came within the celebration of the college's 25th anniversary. The forum included a number of entertainment events where graduates highlighted their talents. A musical night, Nation's Happiness, was held in the Governorate of Dakhliya. 13 musical pieces narrated Omani heritage and folklore march during different period of a time were presented during the event. It was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Abdul Munim Mansour Al-Ahsani, Minister of Information. The night included also individual musical pieces. In artistic framework which concerned mental health, the health initiative Not Alone was held. The initiative aimed to deal with issues related to mental disorders by embodying fine arts. The initiative held a competition in 4 aspects where participants able to express their vision freely. In the conclusion of the winners in the competition were honored. Crocodile farming in Zimbabwe is boosting the struggling economy through the sale of meat, shoes, bags and belts, with the industry employing 1,100 people and at least 100,000 of the animals bred each year. Here's a report.
In Zimbabwe, a different kind of agriculture is bringing in millions to the economy: crocodile farming. In this farm near Victoria Falls, they are reared for their meat, 130 tons of which was exported last year alone. In total, the Crocodile Nature Sanctuary made over $500,000 of profits in 2014 from the sale of meat, skin products and tourism.
It's $200 from crocodile belly. And on the bags, the expensive one, it's $1,475. Okay, and the least we can say the cheapest one is around $200 and something.
In the last year, over 43,000 crocodile skins were sold, mostly to the European market, but increasingly in Asia and Australia as well. Other leather products that can be made from crocodile hide include shoes and bags. The industry currently employs 1,100 people, with at least 100,000 crocodiles bred every year. Though the Crocodile Farmers Association of Zimbabwe says the seasonal nature of the animals' breeding patterns makes it very difficult to ensure a steady income throughout the year. Those not killed draw in cash as tourist attractions, and with Zimbabwe's economy still struggling, this growing industry represents at least one profitable sector.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear skies with dusty winds will prevail over the Sultanate, with cloud accumulation over Hajar Mountains. Winds will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate to rough, with a maximum wave height of 2.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed conveys His Majesty's wishes to the American nation as U.S. President stresses on the strong relations binding both countries. U.S. President Barack Obama pledges his country's commitment to help protect the security of Gulf states at the end of the Camp David summit. And 3 Omani students win the special award from NASA in Intel International Competition for Science and Engineering in USA. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studio and the newsroom, it's good night.